get this over the finish line to J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and Steve Witkoff. He said they will report directly to me. Thank you for your attention to this matter. More details about the deal will be released later this week. A new report published by the American Heart Association finds that 90% of adults in America suffer from some form of heart disease. Even more alarming is that figure also applies to 70% of people under the age of 40. The health risk is a result of obesity, alcohol consumption, tobacco use, poor diet, high stress, and a lack of physical exercise. Only 10% of Americans exercise more than 30 minutes per day. Residents continue to flee the country's biggest cities in 2025. Data from the U.S. Census Bureau found another 25,000 people left New York City last year, 15,000 ditched Los Angeles, 10,000 fled Chicago. Biggest factors for the exodus include everything you would imagine: high crime, cost of living, low quality of life. The most popular destinations for families relocating in 2026, Florida, Tennessee, and Texas. A majority of young Americans resent the wealthy. A study from the Cato Institute finds that 52% of adults under the age of 39 believe that the rich amass their fortunes by exploiting poor people. For comparison, 85% of seniors believe successful citizens earned their money through hard work and determination. Wow, again, 52% of adults under the age of 39 think that rich people got rich by exploiting the poor. That is setting the stage for young adults to be communists. 7 in 10 members of Gen Z say they prefer socialist political candidates over the so-called greedy capitalists. I'm Mike Slater. We have a Davos message of the day. Next.
You've heard me talk about all family pharmacy before, and I'll keep talking about them because they are truly doing things right. They're fast, reliable, and they care about getting people the meds they need without all the runaround when you don't want to wait in line and would rather get your meds delivered to your door. You need all family pharmacy. When everyone around you is sick and you want to be prepared, you need all family pharmacy. And when your doctor says they will not prescribe ivermectin, you need all family pharmacy. They've got everything: antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, blood pressure meds, more. Order online. Once approved by the doctors, your medication ships straight to your door. Be prepared for whatever this new year brings. Please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use the code BILL10 to save 10%.
Mark Harder here, and I'm inviting you to kick off the new year with me at Alloy Personal Training. I joined last year and have been blown away by their approach. At Alloy, each session is different, so I never get bored, and they never have more than 6 people in a class, which allows me to get the attention I need from my personal trainers. Right now, Alloy is giving away free 14-day trials with 2 locations in Baldwin and 1 in Wildwood. Visit alloypersonaltraining.com. Hope to see you in my next session.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. As we follow the important issues facing Jefferson County, if you want to stay informed on Jeffco politics, especially in this all-important midterm election year, make sure to tune in this and every Sunday at high noon here on News Talk STL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
If it's a big story in Jefferson County, you'll hear about it on Jeffco Patriot Radio. Sundays at noon on News Talk STL.
Mike Slater filling in for Bill O'Reilly. Now it's time for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. Davos is so much fun to watch. It's Trump's Olympics going to the World Economic Forum. To the people who thought they ran the world and telling them that they are now subordinate to the American people, it's amazing. But listen, it is tough to be Europe right now. They're failing and they know it. Remember when Trump was at the UN a couple years ago and he told Germany that you better stop tearing down your nuclear power plants and stop relying on Russia for your energy? That's a really dumb thing to do and you're going to regret it. And the German delegation laughed at him. Well, the German chancellor just admitted that getting rid of nuclear power for their country was a big mistake. And now they're too dependent on Russia for energy. So Trump was right. And they hate this, of course. But I get it. I'd hate it too. Wouldn't you? Imagine you're a young child in Spain and you have to read in school about the great Spanish Empire. You read about the 300 years of Spanish power around the globe, one of the most powerful empires in the world. And now Spain isn't even a G20 country. They didn't even make the cut for the top 20. That'd be rough. Think of England, the most powerful empire probably in world history. The British pound was the world's currency, naval supremacy, massive industrial power, the greatest artists, writers, musicians coming out of this little island. And now England is a Muslim country with a per capita GDP lower than Mississippi's, our poorest state. Mississippi per capita GDP is 53,000. England is 50. And that empire just ended 70 years ago. That's not ancient history. Imagine being a Greek kid learning about ancient Greece and thinking, well, we're the people of Alexander the Great. What are we now? How can you be Italian and learn about the Roman Empire and not be really sad for your country? And you have these progressive leaders ruling over these dying nations, thinking that they still matter. And they're going to stand up to the United States of America, led by Donald Trump? No. Now they gather together and they call themselves NATO. We run NATO. We drive the NATO train. NATO was dying until Trump told everyone to pay up. But we still run the show in NATO. So part of me feels bad for these countries, but it's their own doing. They decided to embark on a journey of managed decline, as it is called. They might prefer the term elegant decay. Sounds a little more European. But as America is expanding, which is in our history and tradition to expand, England is giving away the island of Diego Garcia. We have a military base on that island, and they're giving it away to Mauritius, which is a tiny island controlled by China. You're going to give control of this island to our enemy? Why would you do that? Well, it's the same reason that Jimmy Carter gave the canal to Panama and why England gave Hong Kong to China. It's because after the Cold War, we decided that empires are bad, and we were the world's empire. Therefore, we're bad, and we're going to strengthen the rest of the world at our expense. We've been doing that for a good 50, 60 years or so. We're not doing it anymore. That's the whole Trump doctrine. Europe, you can't be trusted to control anything. Certainly not Greenland. And they know this is true. They know that everything Trump is saying is true. They don't want it to be true. They don't want to admit that their empires are gone. They don't want to admit that their prestige and power and influence in the world is gone. They don't want to admit they have no power. But they know the truth. Trump's strategic goal this week is to give Europe a way to support giving us Greenland and saving face. And Europe is so elegantly decayed now, they'll be begging us to take Greenland by the end of the week. Mike Slater, something you might not know. Next.
If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan. It's now available to the public. You can save out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-881-0365 for a free quote. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote. 800-881-0365. 800-881-0365. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-881-0365.
News, analysis, opinion.
This is News Talk STL. This holiday season, bring the taste of Italy into your home. At DiGregorio's, we've been helping St. Louis families celebrate around the table for over 50 years. From imported wines, olive oils, and cheeses to gourmet pastas, sauces, and specialty holiday favorites like panettone and torrone. Our Italian gift baskets make the season easy and unforgettable. You'll find everything you need to make the holidays special. Experience a little bit of Italy right here in St. Louis. DiGregorio's Italian Market. Visit us at DiGregorioFoods.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
Mike Slater filling in for Bill O'Reilly. Now it's time for something you might not know, a fun geography fact. Imagine the United States, Canada, just above us. Draw a line from the bottom of Washington State. So way up in the upper left-hand corner of America, the bottom of Washington state, draw a line straight across America. You actually cut off the southernmost part of Canada. 50% of the population of Canada lives below that latitude. 50% of the population of Canada lives below Washington state. Now, draw another line. You know the straight part of the border between America and Canada? Just draw that line. Just keep going straight all the way across. 72% of Canadians live below that latitude, latitude 49. And 90% of Canadians live within 100 miles of our border. Quebec, Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa, they're all just along the border of New York, Vermont, and Maine. It's all right there. And 50% of Canadians live just right there. Now, why is this relevant? The Prime Minister of Canada went to Beijing just a couple days ago. And he said, mine's the first visit from a Canadian Prime Minister to China in nearly 10 years. The world has changed much since that last visit. I believe the progress that we have made, he said this to President Xi, the progress we have made, this partnership, sets us up well for the new world order. Mark Carney knew exactly what he was doing. He knows his country is losing. He knows he's a tier 3 country and that Donald Trump is the one who decides what the new world order looks like. He just went to China before he went to Davos to gain some leverage to try and get the best deal possible. There's 3 tiers of countries. Your tier 1 countries are China, America, and sort of Russia. Your tier 2 countries, they get to decide who they're friends with. Saudi Arabia, for instance, they get to decide who they want to be friends with. Tier 3 countries, those are your blank hole countries. They don't get to decide. Venezuela, tier 3. They were choosing China. You don't get to do that anymore. Now you're part of America. Canada would normally be a tier 2 country, and they would get to decide who they want to be friends with, but they're too close to us. As we now know, most of Canada is to the south of Maine. So no, you don't get to decide to be friends with China. That's out of your ability. You don't get to do that. Maybe if Canada was anywhere else in the world, they could be a tier 2 country, but not when you're our hat, and not when most of your people live below the state of Washington. You don't get to decide to be close to China. You're in the same category as Venezuela, Canada. Play your cards right. I don't want you to end up the same way as them. I'm Mike Slater. More coming up.
Are you feeling the impact of recent timeshare industry changes? Now more than ever, the costs of timeshare ownership far outweigh the benefits. My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you get out. Our listeners' positive feedback demonstrates why I've supported the company for years. For more than a decade, they have helped over 20,000 owners get out of the timeshare. Their exclusive options can help you get out faster and easier, more than any other option in the country. They are the only company that will give you a written guarantee and release you from your timeshare in a specific time frame. With an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews, customer service is their top priority. For free consultation and a guaranteed solution, please call 855-551-7066. That's 855-551-7066, or go to LoneStarTransfer.com.
I'm Mike Slater. I have a podcast called Politics by Faith. You can listen to that anywhere you listen to your podcast. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Road crews are spreading salt and snow plows stand ready as a powerful winter storm threatens snow, ice, and frigid temperatures across a broad section of the U.S. in the coming days.
Forecasters say ice may linger on roads and sidewalks because temperatures will be slow to warm in many areas. Ice could also weigh down trees and power lines, triggering widespread outages. The storm's expected to hit much of the nation's midsection starting Friday and then head east through Sunday. The National Weather Service says the coldest wind chills could plunge to minus 50 degrees or more across the northern plains. Rich Thomason reporting.
President Trump has launched his Board of Peace, which will focus first on Gaza's ceasefire.
We have peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought that was possible. We've settled 8 wars, and I believe another one's coming pretty soon. You know what that is? The one that I thought was going to be an easy one has turned out to be probably the most difficult.
But many of America's traditional allies are refusing to join the Board of Peace. A main complaint is the human rights track record of countries who've signed up, including Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. There's also concern about the invitation to Russia's Vladimir Putin to join the board. Attorney General Pam Bondi says a woman who led an anti-immigration enforcement protest that disrupted a church in Minnesota has been arrested. Bondi announced the arrest of Nakima Levy Armstrong in a post on X on Thursday. On Sunday, protesters disrupted the city's church in St. Paul, where a local official with Immigration and Customs Enforcement serves as pastor. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 306 points. More at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
Number one for live and local
Conservative talk.
I've been a registered Democrat for 28 years. I'm really glad you're talking about this. You gotta love these idiots out here. They think we're all stupid, I guess.
news, analysis, opinion.
Totally agree on that. I disagree with you.
It's over.
Very upset.
Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for taking my call. Thank you for taking my call. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Wanted to ask you really quick, is there room on the bandwagon for me?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow well below freezing in the teens, but with the wind, it's going to feel like the negatives. That's why tomorrow is a first alert weather day. And then things ramp up over the weekend, tracking a winter storm Saturday into Sunday, where high snowfall accumulations are looking likely across the area, where many of us could see over a half foot of snow, if not even more, as well as bitterly cold and dangerous temperatures. Please be careful on the roads if you do have to drive. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
News, analysis, and opinion.
We've been on the ground in Minnesota conducting criminal investigations to a lot of these suspected frost sites.
You don't come outside of operational hours and then say they're using taxpayer money. That's completely false.
You obviously can't believe a word that comes out of his mouth.
When they shut down the government, they did that because they wanted us to continue business as usual. Money going out the door.
This ICE is on the ground there trying to restore some sanity.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Are you ready to take a totally tubular trip down memory lane? Join us for the ultimate 80s and 90s trivia night, raising funds for the Nick Schroer for State Senate campaign. Dust off your neon, grab your friends, and test your knowledge on all the classics, from mixtapes to sitcoms, boy bands to blockbuster hits, and maybe even some political questions. It's all happening Saturday night, January 31st at the Elks Lodge in O'Fallon, Mo. Reserve your table now by emailing nick@nickschroer.com.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Today's story behind the story.
the amazing Mossad story of rigging explosives in pagers.
Larry Connors, USA.
Now, weeknights 6 until 8.
On News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Hello and welcome to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Do not adjust your radio. No, you did not hit your head. No, you did not fall into a time warp. This is Tony Colombo, but this is the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on this busy Thursday afternoon. Tim Jones is out of the studio today. He will be checking in on location a little bit later on in the 5 o'clock hour today. And Chris Arps is on his way in, but was in the dentist chair with Dr. Link. And he's running a little bit behind here. And so we'll get Chris in the studio, and we'll hear about his day, and they'll take over the show here in just a little bit. But my name is Tony Colombo, sticking around for a little bonus time on this Thursday here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. And you hear me say every day on Colombo and Company that, even though we get a chance to talk 2 hours every single day, it's never enough time to get to all of the news out there. So I'll take a little bonus time to continue to cover what's happening in this busy, busy world. Coming up in the show this afternoon, as I mentioned, Tim will be checking in with the Speaker Stump speech in about an hour from now, just a little less than an hour from now, just after 5 o'clock. Also coming up here in just about 15 minutes, we will talk to Steve Bucci, visiting fellow from the Heritage Foundation. Very much looking forward to talking to Steve, because another cool thing about being in for Tim and Chris this afternoon is I get to talk to some folks that I usually only get a chance to listen to at the interviews each and every week here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. And I'm looking forward to talking to Steve. Of course, he's an expert when it comes to cybersecurity and military operations around the world, kind of an expert on all of those national and international issues. And perfect example of one of the big headlines that I didn't even get a chance to talk about yet today is the latest in Greenland, with the framework of this deal for the United States on Greenland. So looking forward to talking to Steve Bucci from the Heritage Foundation at about 4:25 this afternoon, so about 15 minutes or so from now, to get the latest on that issue. Also want to talk to him about Iran, which is a issue that's sort of fallen out of the news cycle with everything else happening around the country today. So keep it here definitely for that conversation. And as we start things off here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, we're going to pick up right where we left off with Colombo and Company with the great Stel Ponticus. Stel, babe, here we go again.
Hey.
Do not adjust your radio. We're back.
You know what, Tony?
Yes, sir.
I have to admit, Colombo and Ponticus sounds pretty good.
There you go. You know what? Hey, we'll get you through, baby. We will get you through. You can depend on us. So, Stel, let's actually pick it up there with Greenland, because again, this is something that I didn't get a chance to talk about this afternoon, and it kind of broke yesterday while I was on the air. So we talked about it a little bit yesterday on Colombo and Company, but the framework of a deal is apparently in place for the United States when it comes to Greenland. Where are you at on this whole thing? We've been, this has been a hot button issue because the president has teased the idea of military action to acquire Greenland, which I don't think was ever realistic. But, you know, you can't. If we would criticize Joe Biden for saying something like that, then we gotta do the same to Donald Trump. So as much as I don't think it was real, it definitely added a more drama and controversy to this issue at large. What do you think about where we're at with Greenland and the focus and the importance that's been placed on it by the Trump administration?
Well, you know what? If you take the view from 30,000 feet up, I'm just saying that this is the way Trump operates. A lot of us know that, but maybe some folks don't realize that really it's the art of the deal. That's the type of MO that DJT operates in every day. So we have the Davos meetings, and, he walks in there. He's the alpha male out of all of these folks who are there. Yeah, if anybody saw a video of what went on, I mean, from the moment he stepped down on the ground there at Davos until he left, everything revolved around what is Trump going to do? And essentially, he came out and said, we got what we needed to get regarding those Greenland discussions. So you look at where we are now, reports are in the agreement, and if you've heard something different, let me know. There's an okay for stationing U.S. missiles in some parts of Greenland. There's some mining rights that are aimed really at keeping China at bay, because we know how the situation is regarding mineral rights and everything that has to do with rare earths. And I don't mean the band. I mean the stuff that we're looking for. And also the increased NATO presence. And so he covered a lot of different territory while he was in Davos. And I give the guy credit. And I'm just saying, it's the art of the deal. That's the way he operates. And everybody was all ticked off and upset about, well, he's going to invade. No, like you said, he's not going to invade.
No, he was never going. He was never going to invade.
No, not at all.
But
I think folks need to back off and realize this is the way he works things out to get a deal that he wants.
I agree with you. I think that's exactly what he was doing, and that's kind of what I've mentioned all week. But at the same time, we wouldn't give that kind of grace to another politician. We wouldn't say, and if somebody told us, oh, this is just Joe Biden or Barack Obama playing 4D chess, and they're just 5 steps ahead. I don't know if that. I don't think that excuse would fly. So I just personally, I think that's. I think we all know what was going on, but I got to apply the flip test to everything. And I wouldn't, I would be calling out a different president or a different politician for using that kind of rhetoric. So I don't like when Trump does it either, even though.
But to be honest with you, we gave a bunch of pushback. There was pushback from all sides up until yesterday afternoon, up until those meetings in Davos, up until we found out, okay, they're negotiating behind the scenes. All of this stuff is going on, and we wind up seeing an agreement that comes out of that. I agree with you that, you need to put blame where it should be if somebody tries this type of stuff. But I thought there was plenty of pushback, and he kind of let it slide right by, and he focused in on what he wanted to do.
I'm glad you brought up Davos. This is a story that I've had for the last day. I had it yesterday and then today, and didn't get a chance to get to it. But since we're talking about Davos, it's perfect time. This is fun. I don't know. Did you see Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent talking about Gavin Newsom in Davos yesterday?
Yes, indeed.
People think that it's only Donald Trump that really goes after people with name calling and things like that. It's not just Trump. There are others in the administration who are just as articulate with those type of things. And the Treasury Secretary is one of them. I want to just share some of these quotes with everybody and get your thoughts on it. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent lashed out at California Governor Gavin Newsom yesterday, calling him economically illiterate and accusing him of prioritizing elite global gatherings over the state's mounting fiscal, housing, and homelessness crisis, Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, Bessent used the high-profile meeting to deliver a blistering critique of Newsom's economic record and leadership. Quote, I was told he was asked to give a speech on his signature policies, but he's not speaking because what have his economic policies brought? Outward migration from California, a gigantic budget deficit, the largest homeless population in America, and the poor folks in the Palisades who had their homes burned down. Here he is hobnobbing with the global elite while his California citizens are still homeless. Shame on him. He's too smug, too self-absorbed, and too economically illiterate to know anything, the Treasury Secretary said. And he's just getting started. He also responded to Newsom's characterization of him as a smug man, saying the governor, quote, strikes me as Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken. Referring, of course, to American Psycho and Ken from Barbie. He, quote, he may be the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. He's here this week with his billionaire sugar daddy, Alex Soros, and Davos is the perfect place for a man who, when everyone else was on lockdown, when he was having people arrested for going to church, he was having $1,000 a night meals at the French Laundry. I'm sure I'm sure the California people won't forget that. Woo!
He's probably there in Davos thinking, I'm the big shot here.
Yeah.
What was he doing there? I mean, there were folks like Alex Rodriguez was there. I'm sorry, but Alex, I don't know exactly why you were there, but you've got all these hot shots making their way to Davos, and he's there. I'm still stuck on the fiasco that surrounds Pacific Palisades. The fact that those folks have not been able to get hardly anywhere regarding rebuilding their homes after Lee Zeldin got so much done for them in about a month or so, getting permits and everything else taken care of. And California has been able to do zero to help these folks get their homes rebuilt. I'm still ticked off about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Sparkle Beach Ken a real doll? Johnny, can you check that real quick? Can you check and see if Sparkle...
I've seen some dolls pop up already online.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that those are AI, but it is hilarious.
Producer Johnny is here. Joey's been out all week as well. This is the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. It's Tony Colombo and Stel Ponticus with you right now. Chris will be
I just started typing in Sparkle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it is? There's Sparkle Beach Ken. Is it an actual doll?
Yeah, it looks like there's one here on eBay from 95.
Okay, well, there you go. So Scott Bessent knows what he's talking about. Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken. Stel, that might be my favorite.
He is a little, if you see Sparkle Beach Ken here, he's a bit Patrick Bateman-esque, a little, like I could see.
Oh, yeah, he does. And Gavin Newsom does meet all of those sort of characteristics as well.
Yeah, this Sparkle Beach Ken's not as twitchy, though. He's pretty still over here.
Wow.
Go ahead, Stel. What do you think?
No, I was just thinking that who knew that Scott Bessent was such a
wordsmith,
a Hollywood kind of guy that he knew exactly what to come back with regarding a
no
doll
kidding,
like
no
Ken.
kidding. And here we go. This guy, Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken. He's supposed to be their number one guy. He's supposed to be their cleanup hitter. Stel, he's supposed to be their franchise player when they talk about the Democratic Party. I don't know. I know that people vote on the letter more than the person, because because the people in the upper echelon of the Democratic Party is so pathetic and embarrassing, and yet I still think that they have every chance, possible to take back control in either the House or Senate, or maybe even both in these midterm elections, even though it's Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris and Jasmine Crockett and AOC and J.B. Pritzker, are all the names at the top of their list, but that doesn't seem to make them any less threatening, does it? As we go, get closer and closer to the midterms.
No, when you see the lineup of possibilities, I don't know how any Democratic voter can look at that and think, "Oh, wow, we've got somebody who can really come out here and beat J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or somebody of that stature." I don't see it at all. So if I were a Democratic voter, I'd be really, really worried. And I don't know why Newsom thinks that he can go into Davos and presume that he's going to get great press, although I know that the press is definitely going to be, acclimated to giving him whatever he needs, and he's got Soros there.
I think he just thinks I didn't think he thinks and knows that he's going to get great press anywhere he goes, because he does. I mean, he does get he does get some. There's more, there's more pushback than ever before, but that's not saying much. If the truth-telling media or the media that is critical of somebody like Gavin Newsom, if it's now 15% of the media instead of 5%, it's gone up, but still the overwhelming majority has his back, and he knows that. So he can go on international trips when he should be focused. His focus is not international. His focus should be the state of California, which is a mess. But he gets that cover from the media, and he knows it.
And it's a mess. It's a mess because of him, and I'm saying this not to be Mr. Sarcastic or anything, but look at all the crap that's come out of San Francisco.
Oh.
And you got to deal with not just Kamala, but Newsom. You got Adam Schiff from that area. There's so much political stuff that comes out of San Francisco that's deadly for our country. You would think people would wake up, and we did on November 5th, thank God. But I'm hoping that voters don't get lulled into thinking, oh, yeah, sure, it'd be great if we have somebody like Gavin Newsom in there in the White House with his spiffy sport coat. No, I'm sorry. I think he's out of his league. And like you said, just stay in California and try to solve the problems there, buddy, because there's plenty of them for you to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I don't buy this poll at all, but just to wrap up this conversation and to wrap up this point about no matter how pathetic the candidates on the Democratic side are, that does not mean that it's a slam dunk victory for Republicans in the midterms. And just today, there was a poll released from the New York Times and Siena University that found that 48% of registered voters would support a Democratic candidate in the midterm elections, compared to 43% for a Republican candidate. So according to this,
on the electorate.
Yeah.
Shame on our electorate.
According to, and who knows, polling has never been more unreliable in my experience of covering politics than it is right now. So one poll saying this, but it is still a reminder that, a national poll conducted by a national, New York Times is still, I think, considered I would at least consider them a national media outlet.
But they're on the left.
Yeah, very much so. But still, their poll says that
I understand
that the Democrats hold the advantage going in, at this point at least, before the midterm elections. I don't buy that. I can't believe it, but it's a good reminder not to take anything for granted. Just because the Democrats are an embarrassing mess, that doesn't mean it's a slam dunk victory, and you can't. That goes for not only just the voters, but also the media covering this stuff, and definitely the politicians in the Republican Party to make sure they're doing their job and producing for the American people leading up until November. Otherwise, they will find themselves losing power in November. Babe, Stel Ponticus, producer Stel, great to talk with you, buddy. Thanks for putting in a little overtime with me on this busy Thursday afternoon and helping out with part of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here today. We'll talk to you again very soon,
welcome.
my friend.
Let me toss in one other thing, Tony.
Please, go ahead.
I think you might find this somewhat humorous.
Yeah.
Especially since you didn't ask me how I'm doing with my double foot surgery, because I know you're afraid that I'm just going to say, hey, I'm on medical leave, so let's just leave it at that.
Well,
I ran across. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
No, go ahead. No, I didn't know if it was something I should bring up or not. So I'm glad you are. Go ahead.
That's okay. Well, yesterday I ran across a story that a player from the Minnesota Lynx in the WNBA, and she's a St. Louis gal. Collier is her last name. I want to say Nafisa Collier. She played, I think, at Incarnate Word here in St. Louis, a good player for the Lynx. She just had double ankle surgery. Double ankle surgery, so she's out for 6 to 8 months. So who am I to complain about double foot surgery when she's got to go through double ankle surgery? I thought I was the only one dealing with this issue.
Yeah, and just like and just like her, you injured yours playing basketball. So you got to be careful out there. Stel, great stuff, buddy. Thanks as always for your time, especially today with a little bonus time on a busy Thursday. We'll talk to you again soon, my friend.
All right, thanks, man.
You bet. The great Stel Babe there on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Tony Colombo holding down the fort as Chris Arps was at a dentist appointment that has run long, but he'll be back in studio here shortly. In the meantime, we continue the show. Steve Bucci from the Heritage Foundation is going to join us. We'll get the latest on the details surrounding that framework of a deal that the Trump administration announced surrounding Greenland. We'll talk to Steve about that and more next.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow well below freezing in the teens, but with the wind, it's going to feel like the negatives. That's why tomorrow is a first alert weather day. And then things ramp up over the weekend, tracking a winter storm Saturday into Sunday, where high snowfall accumulations are looking likely across the area, where many of us could see over a half foot of snow, if not even more, as well as bitterly cold and dangerous temperatures. Please be careful on the roads if you do have to drive. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
So I am not wishing this on you at all, but if you have any issues at all with any of your plumbing or your pipes through these next very cold days, I want you to keep this company in mind. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Ambassador Plumbing. Again, I hope you don't need them over the next few days, but if you do, they're here for you. Ambassador Plumbing, in business since 2018, independently owned, locally owned, family owned. Tim Morris, the master plumber, Austina, his wonderful wife, keeping all the trains running on time. Tim's got 25 plus years of experience, and this business is now entering, I think, like its 8th or 9th year. They're just fantastic people. They get their name from 2 Corinthians, be an ambassador for Christ. If water runs to it or through it, Ambassador Plumbing, yep, they do it. Small jobs, big jobs, in-between jobs. Doesn't matter if it's faucets or toilets or garbage disposals, water heaters, water softeners, sump pumps, gas lines, cable jobs, or a full bathroom remodel. Yep, they do that too. New construction, remodels, rebuilds. Like I said, if water runs to it or through it, they do it. You only got to remember this one website, ambassadorplumbing.com. Yep, remember, if water runs to it or through it, Ambassador Plumbing, they do it. AmbassadorPlumbing.com. Give them a call today. Check them out. AmbassadorPlumbing.com.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my favorite go-to store for seafood, gourmet goodness, and tons of wine. It's Stars, 1135 South Big Bend. A huge selection of seafood flown in from the coast. Lemon sole, halibut, Maryland lump crab, Gulf shrimp, and you gotta try the trout dip. Plus, imported and domestic hand-cut cheeses, lots of hand-picked wines at great prices, hard-to-find gourmet foods, and fresh roasted coffee using only the best quality beans. Stars, 1135 South Big Bend, just off of Highway 40.
This Steve Bucci update is brought to you by Hydrodynamics. For all your lawn irrigation, outdoor lighting, drainage, hardscapes, and turf management, online at hydrodynamicscorp.com.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Do not adjust your radio. This is Tony Colombo. Put in a little overtime.
I thought you were going to say, "Don't address me as Tim."
First of all, I almost came in saying Colombo and Company because of that, and then I can't even say adjust your radio because put a little bonus time in on this Thursday afternoon. Tim Jones is out, but he will be checking in the 5 o'clock hour with his Speaker Stump speech. And Chris is dealing with some dental issues at with Dr. Link, but he should be here with us in just a little bit to take things over. But that's producer Johnny in for Joey. I'm Tony Colombo in for Tim and Chris. But still, lots to talk about on this very busy Thursday afternoon. And here to help us with it is our next guest.
Steve Bucci, visiting fellow for Special Ops at the Heritage Foundation.
Oh, yes. What were you about to ask me?
Do you expect me to talk?
Steve Bucci from the Heritage Foundation is on the line with us. And Steve, this is one of the bonuses of filling in for another show here on the station, is that I get to have a conversation with somebody that I don't usually get to talk to. Usually I'm listening with everybody else when you join Tim and Chris, but I am excited to talk with you this afternoon. So thanks as always for joining us. How are you?
Oh, I am well, and I appreciate your kind words. I'm glad to be back on the show.
Yeah, looking forward to this conversation because, I say this all the time on my show, that even though we get 2 hours a day, every day, to try to keep up with everything happening in the crazy news cycle, it's still impossible to get to everything. So having a little bonus time today definitely helps things out. And I haven't been able to really get caught up on the situation with Greenland. It was during my show yesterday that the news broke from the Trump administration that the framework of a deal on Greenland was in place. This obviously has been a major focus and priority for the Trump administration throughout this second term, but especially in recent weeks and in the last month or so. So this is a big step, I hope, in the right direction. Can you kind of fill us in on where we're at and what our expectations are moving forward when it comes to the United States and Greenland?
Yeah, it's, we went through the whole period with President Trump alluding to, never really threatening, but at least, giving people the impression that he would use military force to achieve the security aims he was trying to do with regard to Greenland. Lots of the leaders over there say, "Oh my gosh, we've got to prepare for an American invasion of NATO allies." Look, that was never going to happen.
Right.
Why people have not yet figured out that President Trump is not a normal politician. He's darn sure not a normal diplomat. He's a businessman and a negotiator, and uses the same techniques, which is you ask for the moon, you huff and puff and demand, and then when you talk, if the other side's willing to talk, you back off to probably get to the level of what you really wanted in the first place. We are at that point now after, frankly, a relatively short meeting there in Davos. The leaders of NATO and the other European countries all sat down, and in like record time, they walked out and said, "Oh no, we're all friends. We're going to allow the Americans to put some bases and some other facilities on Greenland because it protects the northern borders of NATO, if you will. It's good for America's security. It's good for NATO's security. We pay for most of it. For anybody listening that immediately went, "Oh my God, what happened to America first?" This is the quintessential America first kind of move. We are the ones who benefit from every dollar we're spending. Our allies get some benefit out of it too. That's not a bad thing. And, it looks like we're all still friends. NATO's still whole. And Putin's up there going, "Oh, darn it. I thought I had him again, but maybe not."
You really bring up I think an important point of this is how quickly this negotiation seemed to come together. If there's one partnership that looks like it's like grown to be a very strong one in this second term for the president, it's his relationship with Mark Rutte, the head of NATO. And the fact that that Rutte was a part of these negotiations, I'm sure, was very helpful to getting a deal done quickly. You alluded to some of the things that are going to be that are a part of this deal that's being put together. What are any other details or expectations that we have about what this new agreement or partnership or use of, lease of, whatever be the right term for the arrangement between the United States and Greenland going forward?
Well, it appears as if, it's not going to be massive deployments of American ground troops or anything like that. It's going to be a network of relatively small facilities that will tie into our ballistic missile defense capabilities. And it can do that and probably will do both, with both radars for detection and targeting and actual launcher sites that will put the interceptors into the air to shoot down those missiles. There will also be a great uptick of our intelligence capability there, particularly looking at air and naval threats, because is kind of a lot of space up there. It's hard to manage because of the difficulty of the weather, and having facilities on Greenland to monitor those areas will be a big boon to us. So they haven't said how many facilities, they haven't said where yet, but there will be some multiple of probably relatively small facilities as far as numbers of people, but they'll be there. They'll have some security capability also, certainly, but it's not going to be, we're not moving the 82nd Airborne Division to Thule. That's just not what they need, and that's not what they're going to have. And I'm guessing there will be other NATO member elements at some of these bases also. So this is not, America invading its neighbor. It's called a really effective negotiation. So, like the ladies on The View were all saying, "Oh, we need to invoke the 25th Amendment. He's really gone crazy this time." No, he just won another victory. And it's got to drive them crazy because they're just wrong over and over again.
You mentioned the ladies on The View. I don't know if you saw this, Steve. Yesterday, I talked about this on my show. Joy Behar. Apparently, like the producer of The View has his own podcast. So this person who's not on television that nobody knows from the show that works there has a podcast. And Joy Behar was on that podcast this week, and she was asked what you want your legacy to be. And, when you talk to anybody, let alone a public figure, like, what do you want your legacy to be? You would think the answer would be something about being a good person who provided for their community or their family or left some kind of positive mark on, the world while they were here. That wasn't Joy Behar's answer. Her answer was, I want my legacy to be, I want to be known as one of the people that took down Donald Trump, that stopped Trump and his evil rampage, essentially. I mean, talk about the clinical definition of TDS. Like,
exactly.
that the president lives so rent-free in your head that you want your life's legacy to be, I stopped Donald Trump, not like I provided for my family or I did something for my community or humanity at large. I mean, the Trump TDS is real, and it is out of control on The View and in so many other places in the United States media.
Yeah, it is. It's got to be frustrating for them. You know, one, President Trump won again, and won, you know, with a pretty big mandate. Two, he's been, you know, being justified by multiple Supreme Court decisions that have broken in his direction. And then again, I mean, this is one of many. You know, he's stopped conflicts at multiple places, and now, you know, he does something that seems completely outrageous. You know, a demand of, oh, you just got to sell us, you know, Greenland, and he turns it around into what was probably all he wanted in the first place was expanded security capabilities on that island that we have a hand on, to make sure that it doesn't go up and down, that it stays cutting edge and everything else. And in, you know, like an hour meeting, I mean, they probably didn't even have time to finish their lattes. They, you know, they came, they sat down, everybody shook hands, they went out for the photos.
Yeah.
It's got to drive Joy Behar crazy.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and it just shows you that we couldn't have been that far apart. You know, the two sides could have been that far apart if they were able to come to an agreement in such a short amount of time. Talking to Steve Bucci with the Heritage Foundation. Got just a couple minutes left here with Steve, so I wanted to quickly touch on one other thing. The situation in Iran. The protests in Iran and the people there expressing their frustration, or much more than frustration, being fed up with the regime, the oppressive regime that has been in control there for so long. That story was, in the news cycle and as big of a issue on the world stage as Greenland and some other things. But with everything happening in Greenland and with Minnesota and everything else happening, that sort of has fallen off the radar when it comes to the headlines. But that doesn't mean that issue is resolved in any way. That is another area where the president has hinted at military involvement from the United States. If necessary, or if that's what he deems, is needed to be done to protect the United States interests on the world stage. Do we have any updates? Is there an update or the latest on what's been happening with that story in Iran? Because again, it's sort of just dropped off the screens and the national news cycle with everything else going on.
Yeah, I don't know, of a specific plan. We still have naval assets moving closer and closer to Iran, from several directions. So the conditions are being set. The Iranians said, okay, we'll agree not to execute these people. Then they turned around and not only executed them, but made a point of saying, no, and this guy we were talking about got executed right on schedule. President Trump doesn't like when people put sharp sticks in his eye. And so you could almost guarantee there's a response coming. And the people are still protesting. They have not given up yet. And look, this is a critical point in history that the Iranian regime is at its weakest that it's been in my lifetime. Since the radical Islamic regime took over, their proxies are flat on their backs. Their own military has shown itself to be a paper tiger. This is the time to aid the people take out some of the targets. I would recommend the IRGC Quds Force facilities. They are the biggest tool of repression there. Send a message to the people. You're not alone. The world is with you. And I think you'll see the Ayatollahs, cashing in those tickets and going to wherever Bashir al-Assad is hiding, I believe in Russia, and they'll get out of there. They need to go for the Iranian people, and if we can help them, we should.
Steve, last question, and just sort of backing away from all of the specific headlines and stories of the day, since you and I don't get a chance to talk very often, just leaning on your expertise here, looking at this first year, this week, a couple days ago, we passed the 1 year anniversary of the inauguration of the president. So we're just a year and a couple days now into this second term for Donald Trump. And so much has happened in the Middle East, the continuing war with Russia. We've got the Greenland situation. We've got the Iran situation. Just in your expert opinion overall, how has Trump done a good job and continues to do that, making the world and the United States safer as we get closer to the midterm elections, which are obviously when everybody's going to be grading and reviewing all of these things? What kind of grade would you give the president in this first year when it comes to the international stage and security issues?
I would say from a security issue standpoint, he's got an A.
Yeah.
About the only thing he has not accomplished that he said he would do immediately was getting a resolution in the war in Ukraine. And Vladimir Putin hasn't helped very much with that. And I don't think our president has given up on that yet. But that's the only thing you can say he did not accomplish one of his promises. The other stuff, ending other conflicts around the world, helping Israel defang the Iranians, the closing our border, securing it finally, and now moving the people that are here illegally and doing bad crimes, moving them out. That is all going well, other than in Minneapolis and the rest of Minnesota, because the leadership there has turned it around and made the ICE officials the bad guys. That's not the case in the vast majority of the other cities they've been deployed in around the country. The majority of the American people think that helps our security, but the people on the left, and particularly the Democrat Party, disagree. Our economy, despite the prognostication of disaster by everybody on the left, is turning itself around and is improving. And people haven't felt it in every city, but it's happening, and the progress is steady and not mercurial, but it's moving in the right direction. So I think he's done pretty darn well. And we'll see what happens, what the rest of the American people believe. If you just watch the news on TV, he's a disaster.
Yeah, of course.
That is just not true.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that will never change. That's why it's important to have these conversations. And look, Steve, I really appreciate the opportunity to get to talk with you today. Steve Bucci from the Heritage Foundation. Thanks so much for your time. We'll talk to you again very soon.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Great stuff there from Steve Bucci. This is Tony Colombo filling in for Tim and Chris on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. I've got a live report from the grocery stores. I said it earlier, it's going to be nutty out there with this weather coming up. We're going to fill you in on that. Also got a Hunter Biden story, believe it or not. If you ever were just sort of doubting what a true piece of crap Hunter Biden is, wait till you hear what I've got for you here in just a moment. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Tony Colombo filling in along with producer Johnny, and we'll tell you about Hunter Biden next.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow well below freezing in the teens, but with the wind, it's going to feel like the negatives. That's why tomorrow is a first alert weather day. And then things ramp up over the weekend, tracking a winter storm Saturday into Sunday, where high snowfall accumulations are looking likely across the area, where many of us could see over a half foot of snow, if not even more, as well as bitterly cold and dangerous temperatures. Please be careful on the roads if you do have to drive. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
News, analysis, opinion.
The president has made his priority quite clear.
Iran says it's ready for dialogue.
Why don't we lower the temperature? And some of these individuals do come from out of state. Are they being paid?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, Colombo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
The Vic Borselli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege to have U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. In the 90s, when would this have been? Mid-90s. Yeah. And I was I worked at Grant's Farm, and I had a couple other jobs. In the afternoon, I would often hear and listen to Borselli's Deli on the radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making me feel older than I already feel. That's just great.
Vic Borselli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
SR1 Sundays.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Kaiser. Be sure and check out my show, Straight Lines, this and every Sunday at 8 p.m., right after Stand and Fight, part of SR1 Sundays. Let's meet right here and let's peel back some layers of this crazy world, and you might be surprised at what we find. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on SR1 Sundays at 8 p.m., right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on News Talk STL.
Great news from my sponsor, Tom Shaw Realtors, proving if you want to buy, sell homes, farms, acreage, you want Tom Shaw. In 2025, selling more than 100 properties, $52 million in sales. ShawRealtors.com.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stiefel. Contact your Stiefel financial advisor at stiefel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
My daughter Brinley is here at St. Jude. Coming here was literally life or death, and it was so scary. But St. Jude is fighting for one goal, like this one mission, life. And that gave us hope. We haven't received a single bill from St. Jude, so I really can just focus on what's best for Brinley.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Tony Colombo here in for Tim and Chris this afternoon. We're actually going to check in with Tim Jones here in just about 10 minutes, just after 5 o'clock. He is going to join us for today's Speaker Stump speech, so keep it here for that. I mentioned I just got a report from my wife who bumped up her weekly grocery store trip a day. She usually goes on Fridays to try to avoid the rush from what was going to happen this weekend. But she said that she failed in that endeavor because apparently it is already jam-packed. So, look, what's happening this weekend with the weather is very real. It's nothing to just blow off.
The hype has already started.
It's going to be crazy, crazy cold. Looks like we could definitely get a significant amount of snow as well, but it's not going to shut everything down for, a month or even a week. So
on my way in, Tony, the GPS told me there's a winter weather advisory coming up.
Mine said it last night. I put in something in my GPS last night, and it said that the winter storm may affect travel.
Yeah, thanks. It's Thursday.
It doesn't get here until after midnight on Friday. And in fact, tomorrow afternoon at 2:45 on my show on Colombo and Company, we are going to talk to Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Steve is always with us.
Oh, he going to have them sleeves rolled up.
I know, right? He's always with us on Friday afternoons for the weekend forecast. But this one, more important than any of them, at least in recent memory. So we'll get all the details, and we will get you fully prepared for...
It's like a weird Groundhog Day type thing.
Yeah.
Steve's sleeves are up. You're like, oh, be on alert, dude. Be on alert.
When the sleeves get rolled up, you know that something's serious. So tomorrow, 2:45, make sure you're tuned in for the latest details so we know what to expect, we know what to prepare for, and, you know, we can all be appropriately ready for whatever is coming our way. We know it's going to be ridiculously cold, so make sure you're ready for that. And let's take it easy in the grocery stores. My wife said she couldn't believe how
big French toast weekend.
How crowded
big French toast.
Right? Yeah. You know, catch up on your TV shows or whatever, you know.
I'm making pancakes because I'm a contrarian, but I've already got my breakfast menu settled in and it ain't French toast.
Listen, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, I'm going to be sticking around, and I mentioned a moment ago, just in case you need a reminder about what a piece of trash Hunter Biden is, he's back in the headlines this week, accused of ghosting his daughter with London Roberts and violating his child support agreement. His child support agreement wasn't even money. It was giving the daughter his crappy paintings so she could sell them and make money. He didn't even have to pay, and he can't even adhere to that. This guy's a piece of trash. We'll talk about Hunter Biden in the 5 o'clock hour. As I mentioned, we're also going to be joined by Tim Jones for the Speaker Stump Speech. Tim will be with us next here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need to understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
News, analysis, opinion. News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore with a reminder that for 20 years, Harpo's Chesterfield has been the heart of West County's fun. With their award-winning patio, voted best in West County, and excellent sports bar atmosphere, Harpo's is your one-stop destination. The mouth-watering menu has made them famous throughout St. Louis. Plus, they've got great drink specials and the friendliest, most energetic staff around. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's delivers fun, food, and drinks like no one else. Harpo's Chesterfield. Call 636-537-1970 or visit harposstl.com.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A massive winter storm is barreling towards the eastern U.S., threatening to bring severe ice and snow from Texas to Boston. Texas Governor Greg Abbott tells KVUE they're taking the approaching winter storm very seriously.
Because of the severity of the storm, right now I am making a disaster declaration covering 134 counties across the state of Texas to make sure that every possible resource can be made available to them so they can respond quicker, faster, and better.
Forecasters warn the storm could rival a hurricane in damage to power lines and trees, especially in areas with heavy ice. The storm is expected to start Friday in New Mexico and Texas, moving east through the south and then up the coast into New England. President Trump has launched his Board of Peace, which will focus first on Gaza's ceasefire. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The president inaugurated the new group before leaving the World Economic Forum in Davos.
Once this board is completely formed, we can do pretty much whatever we want to do, and we'll do it in conjunction with the United Nations.
Many of America's traditional allies are refusing to join the Board of Peace. A main complaint is the track record of countries who have signed up, including Saudi Arabia, Hungary, and Pakistan. There's also concern about the invitation to Russia's Vladimir Putin to join the board. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Vice President J.D. Vance is blaming what he calls the far left for turmoil surrounding the White House's deportation campaign. Vance made the comments during a stop in Toledo, Ohio on Thursday before arriving in Minneapolis for a meeting with immigration and customs enforcement agents. On Wall Street, the Dow by 306 points. More at townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. American Federal.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow well below freezing in the teens, but with the wind, it's going to feel like the negatives. That's why tomorrow is a first alert weather day. And then things ramp up over the weekend, tracking a winter storm Saturday into Sunday, where high snowfall accumulations are looking likely across the area, where many of us could see over a half foot of snow, if not even more, as well as bitterly cold and dangerous temperatures. Please be careful on the roads if you do have to drive. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
When it comes to heating, cooling, and refrigeration, trust the family that's been keeping St. Peter's comfortable since 1974. Hey, it's Susie Moore, and D.L. Pranger HVAC is small enough to care, experienced enough to deliver. Got a competitor's bid? They'll beat it by 20%, guarantee. From home HVAC to commercial refrigeration, beer caves to restaurant coolers, D.L. Pranger does it all. Licensed, insured, and 100% customer satisfaction guaranteed. Call 314-640-9617 or find them on Facebook. That's 314-640-9617.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting
from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Yes, indeed, the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo in for Tim and Chris. We're going to have Tim on the line, however, here in just a moment. Chris stuck in the dental chair there with Dr. Link. We'll see if he makes it in, but we're covering the show here on this very busy Thursday afternoon. I often remind you during Colombo and Company about our podcast. It doesn't just go for Colombo and Company. It goes for every show here on the station, including the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. If you missed anything in that 4 o'clock hour, we had a great conversation with Steve Bucci from the Heritage Foundation. One of the benefits of filling in for Tim and Chris or being on at a different time during the day, you get to talk to different people that I don't usually get a chance to talk to. Great conversation with Steve Bucci in the 4 o'clock hour. If you missed that, or you just want to make sure that you never miss anything that happens here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show or on Colombo and Company or any other show here on the station, make sure you're subscribed to our podcast. We put all the shows out as podcasts right after we get off the air every day. We put them on basically every podcast platform. So wherever you get podcasts, wherever your favorite place to get podcasts is on that platform, make sure you're subscribed to Colombo and Company and the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show and everyone else here at News Talk STL, so you never miss any of the great conversations that we have. All right, the great Tim Jones is on location with us and joining us for the speaker stump speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Tim, I bet you didn't think you'd be talking to me today.
Tony, I leave town for one day, and all heck breaks loose, and the wheels come off the wagon, and maybe this is a little bit of prophetic clairvoyance with this massive mother of all storms bearing down on us, and just another wrench to throw in the cycle here. But it's great to be with you guys this afternoon. We got a different producer, Johnny, there. We got a different show host, you there, and I'm here in I'm in the Peach State, Tony. I'm in deep southern Georgia.
Ooh,
and boy, am I glad I'm here and not there.
No kidding. Yeah, I was just going to say, the snowstorm isn't even here yet, and we're already got some chaos happening here, but that's all right. I complain every day about not being able to get to all the stories and issues that I've, prepped, so I kind of like having some extra time to get to everything. But yeah, I hope the weather down there in southern Georgia is a whole lot better than it is here. And it's in what, the 30s right now, and what it is out there right now is going to feel like June or July in a couple of days here when we get down to these sub-zero temperatures in St. Louis.
Yeah. First of all, nobody needs to worry about me. I am in southern Georgia. It's absolutely spectacular here. It's not tropical this time of year. It never is in January, but I hate to tell everybody back home it was 60 degrees and sunny today down here in Sea Island, Georgia. As my wife always says, it's tough business being Tim Jones, but somebody's got to do it, Tony. I'm actually here for a good purpose. This is an annual conference that I am invited to every year as part of my state government affairs work that I do for folks like Grover Norquist and Americans for Tax Reform and the ALEC folks and the Freedom Caucus. Tony, I'm at an anti-ESG conference. So it's a group of people like me, think tank people, a lot of people smarter than me. We got the Republican lawyers here. We've got, folks like the Heritage Foundation, Goldwater, some of the other folks I just mentioned. And it's sponsored by a group called Consumers Research and Consumers Defense. And it's what they're doing, Tony. They're working for Joe and Jane American to try to prevent big corporate America from bigfooting into every aspect of our lives and telling us whether or not we can continue to buy gas-powered leaf blowers, like I know you have quite a few of.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. No, that's one of the many issues that I think need to be under the spotlight right now as we get closer and closer to the midterm elections. There's been a lot going on in the news, and I think a lot of issues that Donald Trump has brought to the forefront since taking over in this second term, whether it be his focus on immigration and deportation, his focus on ending wars around the world, and making the United States a safer place with his push for Greenland and things like that. And I think, limiting government involvement in our lives, as you're speaking about right now, and that that the event that you're at is part of, I think is something that needs to be at the forefront as we go through this midterm election year as well.
Yeah, Tony, and I'll make some parallels to what Donald Trump was doing over the last couple of days. So, I'm very blessed. I get to pretty much everything I do revolves around the freedom and liberty world. What we talk about every single day here on News Talk STL. Those are the types of folks, the entities, the organizations that I represent in the state government affairs world as well. Basically, trying to protect and preserve the economic freedom and the liberties that our founding fathers and mothers fought so hard for. And generations of Americans fought not only, on our own shores back in the day, but continue to fight for us around the globe. And Donald Trump went over to Davos, right, to scold Europe, rightfully so, once again. And why is Donald Trump, why are strong American leaders able to go over and give the EU and the Euro socialist elitists what for? Because we can, Tony, because they've done this to themselves, right? Over the last 50, 60, 70 years, they've largely disarmed themselves. They've completely thrown open their borders, and now the chickens have come home to roost, right? I mean, you hear about these problems in Paris, France, in London, England, in Munich, Germany, all across Europe. Two big problems are happening. They're not able to provide for their own defense, which is why they need the United States of America to constantly be taking care of their problems. Like, look, I understand the issues with the tyrannical despot Vladimir Putin, but why can't all those countries in Europe solve the Russia-Ukraine problem? Why do we have to come in and solve these problems in these far-off shores? Now, we'll happily do it, and Donald Trump is trying to do his darndest, but why can't the mighty European Union handle this on their own? Well, Tony, because they can't, because they haven't spent the money on their own defense and their defenses, and secondarily, they've got their own internal problems out. Tony, what did we hear today? 4.4% GDP growth over the third quarter of the year. You know what the entire European continent is at? Like all 27 countries or whatever? 1.2%. It's embarrassing.
Wow.
And so the reason, Tony, that we can go to Davos and give Europe what for and tell them how it's going to be is because there's nobody else, right? We're the parent and they're all the children. I hope they're learning what they need to do if they want to have. I want them to have a strong, secure Europe. But unfortunately, right now, they can't do it without the United States of America. So guess what? We get to set the terms every once in a while and pretty much how things are going to go.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up because it's a point that Steve Bucci made with us last hour, and I know that you talk to Steve on a weekly basis.
Yep, great guy.
Great guy. Especially when you're talking about world affairs and security across the globe for the United States. And he was talking about Davos, just as you are, and he brought up a really, I think, a really interesting and important point to remember. You talk about Donald Trump. One of his main priorities is America first, and especially when we were talking with Steve about Greenland, but also other issues around the world. He'd said to anybody that is saying what happened to America first if we're talking about security in Europe or when it comes to acquiring Greenland, and Steve said there's no better example of America first than making sure that we have the facilities in Greenland and the ability to protect the world and protect the United States by having our presence there. And so, sometimes America first causes us, brings us outside of the United States borders to make sure that that we're as safe and protected as possible.
Yeah, Tony, I hear you talk about this very topic almost. You talk about it frequently. I listen to the show as I'm driving around, preparing to come to the studio, as I'm driving in the studio, and you make this point as well, and that's that there are things. Look, okay, Donald Trump, right? You make this point? This is the point that you make often that I was gonna reiterate here.
Mm-hmm.
Have people not figured out Donald Trump after the last 10 or 12 years, right? Have they not figured him out? Okay. Do we still have to sit here and wring our hands and rend our garments and light our hair on fire when Donald Trump says something that we're like, oh, we're so aghast at it. Oh, let me clutch my pearls. Have we not figured out yet that Donald Trump, the guy who literally wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, he starts way over here, right, with something completely bombastic and maybe sounds a little bit crazy and all that because he wants to get to eventually where he knows he can go. And that's why he's never going to negotiate against himself. He's going to throw down the gauntlet, and it's going to sound wild and crazy like, we're going to invade Greenland, and if we can't invade it, we're going to buy it. And then he ends up exactly where he always intended to be. I love how the media is saying, so what is it with Donald Trump? So the media either thinks he's a crazy, tyrannical, colonialist invader that wants to take over Greenland, or now today they're saying, oh, he gave up, he gave in, and boy, what a coward. Which one is it, right? No. Donald Trump got exactly what Donald Trump wanted to get, a guarantee that the United States of America it's kind of like going to the moon and planting your flag on a plot of property. He basically said, I want these key areas of Greenland to be totally and utterly under the control and ownership of the United States of America. These are going to be our sovereign plots of land. And what are we going to do there? We're going to put in everything that we need to put in to protect ourselves. And, oh, by the way, most of the NATO European countries as well from a potential future ICBM missile attack from Russia and China. That's what this is all about. And it's to secure access to the rare earth minerals, right? So we don't have to continue to buy them from China. This is all about, Donald Trump, who's supposed to be the puppet of Putin, right, and who can't take on Xi, he just scored a huge victory against both of those countries. And I wish the media would just take a breath every once in a while, analyze the situation for the objectivity that it demands, and realize that Donald Trump pretty much got everything that Donald Trump always intended to get. And you know what that's going to mean? It's going to mean a lot of safety and security, not only for Americans, but for the NATO countries as well.
And they can never admit that. They can never admit the success. And sometimes he does. I'll be critical of the president when I think that he goes too far, and I got to apply the flip test, to both sides of the aisle. He never said, and I've said, as you mentioned, I've said for weeks, he's not there. There is no part of any of this that is realistic where the president or the United States goes in militarily into Greenland. That is a ridiculous thing. It was never going to happen. Now, he never said it would. He did, he does his he alludes to it. He says things like wait and see or nothing's off the table, or things like that.
He's the master troll, Tony.
He really is. Yeah,
the art of that as well.
He is,
yeah.
And sometimes he gives the other side more ammunition than I wish he would. But they take that and they ascribe quotes that weren't actually said. He never said that that's what he was going to do, and they don't give him the credit when the plan works out exactly as he intended. And if you want to look for proof of that, look how quick that deal came together. That's another thing that Steve Bucci mentioned in the last hour when we were talking with him. When the NATO leaders got together there in Davos, I think Bucci made the analogy to they barely had a chance to drink their coffee before they were back out of the room, shaking hands, taking pictures, and everybody's on the same team. So it wasn't like the two sides were so far apart that it was some knockdown, drag out, contentious debate when the deal came together so quickly. But you'll never hear anybody else characterize it that way because it, goes against the media narrative, of course.
Well, Tony, that's exactly right. I mean, think about this. Barely 1 year barely 1 year in office, and Donald Trump now has an opportunity for the United States to secure this very important piece of Earth, right, in our up near the Arctic Circle, for all the reasons I mentioned, the safety and security guarantees, for building whatever we need to put there for missile defense systems, for the rare earth minerals. Barely 1 year in office, one meeting, one flight, one meeting at Davos, and it's all done, signed, sealed, and delivered. And Tony, not a single American tank had to roll into Greenland. I mean, the media, if they would just sit back and take a breath, they purposefully want to take everything that he says literally, so then they can literally try and score stupid little political points, but they always fail because Donald Trump is always pivoting towards something else, and they can't seem to think 2 or 3 steps down the road. He's playing 4-dimensional chess, and they're trying to still find the checkerboard.
Tim Jones is with us on location down in southern Georgia, working for the people of Missouri and the people of the United States. And I know, Tim, you're going to be able to stick around for our conversation with Dan Jaycox of St. Louis Windows and Doors, who's going to be with us here in the next segment. But before we wrap up this conversation, I just wanted to quickly touch on, I talked to Senator Schroer, one of your good friends and somebody that you work very closely with when it comes to Missouri politics and the Freedom Caucus agenda here in the state of Missouri. So I wanted to take this opportunity to ask you also about this legislative session in Missouri and coming off the State of the State address of of Governor Kehoe last week. The Freedom Caucus, obviously, Republicans in general here in Missouri have a real opportunity to build off the progress that was made after the last session. Since you and I don't get a chance to talk about this very often, on the air especially, just give us your sort of 60,000-foot, thoughts on the priorities and what you hope to see happen during this 2026 session.
Tony, I'm so excited we're having this discussion at the state level. It's something that I was very humble, honored, and blessed to have started here in Missouri. You can all blame me for it, but back in 2013, 2014, when I was speaker, we decided to take a look at Missouri's antiquated, I call it regressive income tax system, and we began to chip away at it. This is something that had never been done before. We had never really looked at it, whether it was working or not. It wasn't. And whether it would benefit Missourians long term. We kind of started the tax cut renaissance in the Midwest. Now, since then, we've now lagged behind as many of our neighbors have picked up the gauntlet on this and charged ahead of us. So I was able to put the first plan into place along with my good friend Senator Tom Dempsey, who was running the Senate at the time. U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt was the bill handler in the state Senate. Former state senator, former Rep. Andrew Koenig was one of our House handlers. And so there's some famous names for everybody from the past, many of them going on and doing great things like U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt. So we had a great team. We had great legislators in both chambers, and we overrode Governor Nixon's ridiculous veto of giving Missourians of allowing Missourians to keep more money, their tax dollars in their pockets. And that has resulted in our income tax going from 6% now down to 4.7%. But Governor Kehoe now comes in and says, we need to do more. And I couldn't agree with him more. And I love the fact that Governor Kehoe is talking about some of these movement conservative things that so many movement conservatives, like the Freedom Caucus members, like Nick Schroer and Ben Keithley and so many others, have been advocating for years. You got to have the trifecta singing the same tune here. And we finally have it. You have the governor, you have House and Senate leadership, and the movement conservatives, like the Freedom Caucusers, saying, yes, let's catch up with all of our neighbors that have sprinted ahead of us. Why cut taxes? It's not just a Republican talking point, because if you look at anything, any economic metric, the U-Haul index, which just came out a couple weeks ago, rich states, poor states, which my good friends from ALEC write every year, it shows that people vote with their feet. They go to the places where there are less economic freedom barriers, right? They go to places of more economic freedom and prosperity. There's 9 states in the country with no income tax, and they're doing great. They're at the top of the ticket. There's all the big blue states that have lots of taxes and lots of regulations, and they do it the old-fashioned way, and they fail. And they're at the bottom of all these metrics. So in order for more prosperity, opportunity, and growth for Missouri's small businesses, families, and farmers, we need to make sure that we're keeping up with this Midwest tax cut renaissance that we've seen from all of our neighbors. Yeah, except for maybe the People's Republic of Illinois. But the other 7 states that border us also have very aggressive governors, and they have been leading the way on this. The proof is in the pudding. There's decades of data on this. And to get rid of the income tax, one of the most insidious taxes, a tax on your labor and your productivity, I think it's an immoral tax. It's a regressive tax. And states that have cut it or eliminated it are seeing the fruits of their labors and lots of prosperity, lots of growth, lots of population increase going into their states. We got a lot of taxes in Missouri. The income tax is one of the worst. I'm with Governor Kehoe on wanting to put it towards a path towards elimination.
Yeah, and I've said this on my show multiple times here since the start of this session and even leading up to it. And it's a joke, but it's also one of those, like, it's funny because it's true. Going into this session and into this session here, I've got a feeling in my stomach that's very unfamiliar when it comes to the legislative session in Missouri. And it's optimism. it's a strange
optimism and hope, my friend.
It's a strange feeling, but yeah, I believe that we are on the right path, and obviously something we'll continue to keep a very close eye on. Tony Colombo here in studio for the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Tim Jones on the line with us for one more segment as we continue the conversation. Going to be joined live in studio from Dan Jaycox of STL Windows and Doors. Dan will be in studio with us. Tim Jones remains on the line, and you're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow well below freezing in the teens, but with the wind, it's going to feel like the negatives. That's why tomorrow is a first alert weather day. And then things ramp up over the weekend, tracking a winter storm Saturday into Sunday, where high snowfall accumulations are looking likely across the area, where many of us could see over a half foot of snow, if not even more, as well as bitterly cold and dangerous temperatures. Now, please be careful on the roads if you do have to drive. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
You do know that January is a fantastic time to buy a vehicle, right? Because in Missouri, then you don't have to pay the personal property tax until like the following year because you don't own the vehicle on January 1st. So whether it's January or any time throughout the rest of the year, you know where you can go to get a great deal on a new vehicle or an excellent deal on a used one? Tyler Trineri, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Tyler Trineri, 24/7 at TylerTrineri.com. Tim Jones here to tell you what I know personally and what all Tyler Trineri customers know. Every new vehicle and select used vehicles from Tyler Trineri come with their exclusive lifetime warranty, a true lifetime warranty, no exceptions, no limitations on how long you own the vehicle or how many miles you put on it. How fantastic is that in today's world? Also, they got a service department that's second to none. I should know, been using them for years, well over a decade, closing in on 2. I'm a loyal and happy customer. They always take really good care of me. They'll take really good care of you. You know what? You can't beat the price, the selection, and you definitely can't beat the amazing lifetime warranty, so you should check out Tyler Trineri today. Great deals on brand new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeeps, or Rams. Excellent deals on used vehicles as well. Check out everything at TylerTrineri.com. That's TylerTrineri.com.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Very active, very fun chat box. Cindifer.
Hi, Cindifer.
Hey, how you doing? She says, yo, Vic, baby. Verbatim. Yo. Thick baby. With an exclamation point. How else are you supposed to read that? I was driving, had to pull over to comment. I was going to say how sexy the beard is. But I'm afraid of your wife.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I would be.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Number 1 for live and local
conservative talk.
You can take these facts. I know for a fact. It's just about time. If not now, when?
Oh, there's just so much to say and not enough time to say it or do it.
I'm sorry. This is our country. This is the country that you and I love.
I'm kind of not surprised.
Man, that's what they need.
Very upset.
A lot of fear.
I agree with that, and well, who couldn't agree with it? It's a fact.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number 1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
We'll prevail.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Tony Colombo here in studio, filling in for Tim and Chris today. Chris stuck in the dental chair there, maybe coming in before the end of the show. We'll see how that all plays out, but we've got it covered in the meantime. And in fact, Tim Jones is sticking around on the line with us on location down there in southern Georgia. And we also have Dan Jaycox in studio with us again from St. Louis, STL Windows and Doors. Dan, great to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me in.
You never know who you're going to get, right?
It's wild. No, I was kind of thrown. I was like, everything's still going on, right? I didn't wake up in a dream world, did I?
Dan said that he was driving in. He's like, wait a minute. That's not the right person. That's not the right producer. That's not the right... You just never know what you're going to get. but
Dan, life's a box of chocolates, isn't it, my friend?
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get.
You couldn't have said it better.
Exactly.
Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Dan. Dan, you know, I sort of feel sorry for you all, but not really. I'm down here in southern Georgia, but I'm going to feel sorry for all of us. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get back on Sunday. It's going to be an interesting journey back.
Yeah, be safe, my friend.
Dan,
seriously.
But Dan, with all this weather coming in, it reminds us. It's going to remind people who haven't really taken care of their windows and doors over the last decade or 15 or 20 years they've been in their home, that Mother Nature wreaks havoc on things like caulk and seals and door frames, especially if they're what we would refer to as, you know, quote, builder quality, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, homes get really exposed when you get to especially these bitter cold temperatures. So, we see a pretty big pickup in people calling in and asking questions, which we're more than happy to walk people through. Especially on the window and door side, drafty doors, things are now out of level, out of square, houses have settled. It just peaks little holes and stuff. Air can get through. Insulation's not so great. Window seals are given out. So windows get exposed, doors get exposed. We're here for you to walk you through what those processes look like, what options are there for you, help you out, in the long run, get you all fixed up.
Yeah. So Dan, if you do, and look, this is I know you guys have great prices and great products, but it is a reinvestment, right, in the property. But what can people expect if they do take the time and their treasure to upgrade their windows or their doors? It does make a huge difference on energy efficiency, those drafts. Not to mention, I'm sure they look a lot better too.
Yeah. I mean, looks go a long way, but when people look at the monthly impact, I mean, obviously you can see some energy bills and everything kind of go down a little bit, which is always great. Another thing that kind of gets lost in the muck of like the home remodeling world is like ROI on certain projects around your house. So you get a good return on investment on windows and doors. I mean, upwards of they say anywhere from 80 to 105% on new windows, new doors, all that stuff. So things to be considered, especially those, getting ready to maybe get things on the market, further planning, just getting your house back up to speed. Windows and doors they go a long way, and that's what we do. That's what we love to do, and what we like to help out.
Hey Dan, so our one of our big bosses here, Jeff Allen, always says choice kills, right? And I think sometimes people get overwhelmed by all the choices in life these days. Windows and doors, probably no exception to that. That's wonderful, right? That there's so many choices, but I think some people, they may not even want to get started because they're like, holy smokes, I'm looking at these ads and these things, but do you guys walk the customers through that? Like if somebody's like, I don't even know where to begin with my doors and windows.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we try to keep our process simple, clear, clean cut, good communication. Obviously when we're in home, we're gonna walk the project with you. We want to make sure we get our eyes tuned to how you view your house. How you're gonna understand what a window and door project looks like. It's not everybody's done that before. So when you're opening your house up to something big like a project like that, you need some guidance, you need some clarity, you need to calm. You have to start thinking about price and all that stuff, the exposure. We walk you through how that is, what it looks like. We want you to feel as comfortable as you can. We have a great process for that. All of our guys, I mean, from the guys in sales to the installers to Andy, the owner, who's out there doing everything right now. We're there for you. We walk you through it, make you understand it, and you feel comfortable when we're there for you.
Hey Tim, can I jump in real quick with
go right ahead, Tony.
Quick question.
Yeah.
We're talking to Dan Jaycox of STL Windows and Doors. So, especially with these like crazy cold temperatures that we're about to experience this weekend, are there like red flags or signs that clearly there's a gap or a seal problem with your windows or doors, other than like walking past your door and realizing it's freezing cold, standing right inside it? Like, what are some of the things that people can look for or identify and know, like, there could be a problem here and maybe we need to call you guys?
Yeah, right. I mean, really in the extreme cold temperatures, efficient windows are going to keep your inside warmer, but they're rated to do like, 30, 40 degrees difference from outside. So your windows are still going to feel cold if they're old or new, but they're not going to feel as cold. One thing you got to really look out for, are you getting ice anywhere? If you're getting freezing cold air coming in between your meeting rails, corners of your windows and all that stuff, and things are turning to ice, your window is no longer efficient, no longer sealed up. You probably need to get looking into something like that. That's really going to affect it the most. Things you're going to see the most that'll flag it. It happens on doors a lot. You'll get ice in your corners, on the floor, near your threshold. So those are big time red flags. That's what I would definitely get into. If you're not getting that, doesn't mean your windows aren't efficient. If you think they aren't, a way to temp it. I mean, if it feels as cold as it is outside right up on your window, chances are your seals are blown on the glass. It's not performing anymore. So those are just kind of some red flags I always say to look at. You're going to feel a little bit of a temperature difference. Windows aren't walls. They're not going to keep it all the way out. But man, if you feel an extreme, you see ice, it's time to get it checked out.
And Dan, you made a reference there to something I want to ask you about also for sure. So talk about some of the advancements in technology with especially windows these days, right? For people who think, they're just windows, window's a window, yeah, whatever. But you just mentioned, they're not walls. Windows are not walls, but they are very important. They're the membranes, right? They're the skin that is the only barrier between you and the great outdoors. And boy, we're going to feel the great outdoors over the next few days here in the Heartland. Talk about some of the technology advancements that you incorporate at STL Windows and Doors.
Yeah, so we carry a great manufacturer, Provia. I would say arguably the best warranty package for any window company. The big things at Provia windows that we really like is the efficiency isn't just the glass pack, it's the actual vinyl frame, which a lot of manufacturers can cheap out or not put a lot of attention to that. So Provia's vinyl frames, they're insulated, they're supported, they got fiberglass reinforcements through them. The vinyl's warranted for life. Your then you get to the glass. You got seal breakage warranty for the life of the window. So your double pane argons or your triple pane argon, triple pane Krypton glass packs, those things are all protected for the life of the window, even with breakage. So technology goes a long way. The amount of pride that Provia puts into their product. The reason we carry them is because we put all the pride in our work in the install. We want a company that puts all their pride in their product, and that's what we see with Provia.
Tim, guess who just walked in? Tim, guess who just walked in the studio?
Would that be the great Chris Arps?
Boy, I love this work for 20 minutes deal. How are you? And Tony's got the studio. There's no lights on in here, I tell you.
Yeah,
Dan, how are you?
Things.
Tim, Chris, I'm looking good.
Look at him. Forgot me already.
I'm good, and man, you're looking sharp today.
I appreciate that. I want to talk about.
We got Dan all confused.
We do.
Different hosts. I'm on the phone.
I'm all over the place.
And you guys have to.
I had one more. Go
ahead.
Question,
Go for it.
Then I'll let you guys wrap it up. Well, Chris, it's a question I was going to ask about you. Chris raves.
Oh, that's where I was going.
We haven't talked about yet, and that's the window cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a little cold to be cleaning windows right now, but it's going to warm up. Spring is around the corner. I'm going to have my windows cleaned by you guys because Chris he cannot stop talking about how awesome his windows were after you guys clean them. And Suzanne and I are big fans of getting the windows clean once, twice a year. So I'm going to have you guys out. Talk about that part of your business that I know has really exploded and done well because you guys do it so well.
Yeah, I mean, window cleaning, obviously, we're going to – this week, I would say the next 7 or 8 days, probably not going to get out and clean many windows. No.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. Right now, I would say this is a good time to get the free estimate on your windows. Get our guy Chris out there.
Not me.
Not this Chris, our Chris. Get him out there to get you some numbers on it. Spring cleaning is such a huge topic coming up. We're in the winter, but spring cleaning is coming up, and the schedule does fill up fast. I mean, we saw it happen during the holiday season. People wanted to get in before Thanksgiving, get in before Christmas. We got spring cleaning season coming around, so that schedule does fill up fast. But get us out there. Let us take a look. We'll walk you through that process, which is also great. Our Chris. Our cleaner, he is so talented, so thorough. He does such a great job. We got so lucky when we started this company to bring a guy with such great skill and attention to detail and all that. But get him out there. You'll really enjoy Chris. You'll enjoy the bid. Get you on the schedule, and then like you were kind of saying, Tim, a couple times a year would be great to get into, especially once you see the difference between old and new windows.
I apologize to everyone if I'm sounding a little mush mouth because I did just come from the dentist. But I took advantage of the window cleaning service over the weekend. Absolutely phenomenal. I think we did it back in July. I'm not lying. This is the absolute truth. Our windows are still clean, especially our front window. Talk about that process of how the windows are still staying clean after 4 or 5 months.
Well, it's something that's kind of understated is what a clean window looks like. Over time, your windows just get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier, and it's not like a stark difference. Well, then when you go from that to a sparkling clean window, then you're just going to know, you're going to see it. And then we use we have a great filtration system. It's triple filtered. It's like it repels dust and water after it gets done. So that whole process, and we clean inside and out. Then we come out and we run your screens through screen cleaner. It's not just, hey, let's go wipe down the windows, spray them down with some Windex and wipe them down. We have a process that our Chris is very refined at. I have to keep saying that.
That's all right.
Are
you hiring? Can I go? Can I come work for you?
Nobody wants to think that Chris Arps is coming over to clean
your windows. You don't want me over cleaning your window.
So I think it's an important ladder. Yeah, it's an important distinction.
Get him down from there. Get down.
We're talking to Dan Jaycox of STL Windows and Doors. Tim Jones, we'll cut you loose. I know you got things to get to down there, but be safe this weekend getting home, my friend, and thanks for the time this afternoon, as always.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you, Tony. And God willing, I'll make it back to Missouri at some point on Sunday or maybe Monday morning. And you guys stay warm. You guys stay safe and be good back there. And thank you, Dan, for coming in.
Hey, thanks, Tim. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, great stuff. And Dan, before we wrap up with you, if people are hearing all of this and it's something that they, like for me, the idea of having somebody not only that you can rely on if you have an issue with your windows or doors, a local team that you can trust, But also that idea of the cleaning, I'm with these guys. To me, that's a huge service that would be, nobody likes to put that on their annual to-do list, and to have a team like yours that you can trust to come out and take care of that for you, know that quality cleaning is going to get done, that's going to last, for months at a time. If people are hearing this for the first time and they want to learn more about your company, website, social media, all that good stuff. How do you?
Before you get into that, Tony, here's an extra thing that they do.
Yeah.
If your screens are broken, they will replace the screens as well.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
That's big in the area. Yeah, so really to get a hold of us, it's super easy. You go to your interwebs and www.stlwindowsanddoors.com for window replacement. You got free estimate requests, obviously information galore. You can reach us at 314-277-5952. And then you kick on over to STL Window Cleaners is the website there, and you can set up your free estimates, everything online. We try to make it streamlined, super easy, and then always you just give us a call. We can talk you through things too. So
Great
do
stuff.
it. It is a great service.
Dan Jaycox with STL Windows and Doors. Thanks for coming in today.
No
buddy.
problem,
Great
Tony.
to see
Thanks.
ya. Stay warm this weekend.
Chris? Oh, I will. We'll be bundled up.
All right, we'll get the show started with Chris Arps live in studio now.
You're finishing out, buddy.
We'll get things
I'm
rolling.
Gone. See, I just came in for Dan. I'm going home.
Listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow well below freezing in the teens, but with the wind, it's going to feel like the negatives. That's why tomorrow is a first alert weather day. And then things ramp up over the weekend, tracking a winter storm Saturday into Sunday, where high snowfall accumulations are looking likely across the area, where many of us could see over a half foot of snow, if not even more, as well as bitterly cold and dangerous temperatures. Please be careful on the roads if you do have to drive. With your first alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
We'll hear some of the comments from Jack Smith. If you remember, I originally said I don't like his face, and I was right. With Commander Connors Friday at 9:25.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Looking for insurance you can truly trust? Since 1986, Bauer Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses across Missouri and Illinois. Owner Cindy Blanton doesn't just offer one quote. She shops all the top carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Safeco, and more to find you the best rates. Whether it's your home, auto, toys, or business, we've got you covered. Visit us at Mid-Rivers Mall in St. Peters or call 636-812-2001. Bauer Insurance Agency, the company that protects, the name you can trust.
Hey, I want to tell you about something I actually use all the time, and that's Royal Banks of Missouri's interactive teller machines, or their ITMs. Hey, in case you aren't into old school ATMs, with an ITM, you can talk live to a real Royal Banks teller through video and audio, just like you're inside the branch without ever leaving your car. I love them because they're fast, they're convenient and personal, and I can make deposits, withdrawals, loan payments, cash checks, and transfer money. And if I need help, a real person is right there on the screen. And here's the part that really matters to me. They're open longer than normal banking hours, weekdays from 8 to 7, Saturdays from 9 to 2. When you've got a busy schedule, that makes a huge difference. I've banked with Royal Banks of Missouri for over 20 years because they've always taken the time to understand what matters. And for me, that means convenience when life doesn't fit into banker's hours. With 16 locations across St. Louis, St. Charles, Illinois, and Northeast Missouri, Royal Banks is locally owned, independently run, and invested right here in our community. Learn more at royalbanksofmo.com, royalbanksofmo.com, Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's not pleasant to hear it, but Missouri is falling behind in its spending of state tax dollars, education, and health care. But there are ways to get Missouri moving forward again and produce a better life for all of us. That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together a 2026 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can move to a brighter future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to healthcare and budget reform. Let's allow students to attend the school of their choice. Let's adopt new proven methods to help the many school kids who can barely read. Let's limit state spending growth for Missouri's long-term financial stability. And let's invest in future needs with more nuclear energy. Why not common sense reforms to make things better for all Missourians? Check out our 2026 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
News, analysis, opinion.
This is called officially the great healthcare plan.
When the Republicans rubber stamp everything he does, the constraints go away.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Tony Colombo here with you for one more segment. Live radio, baby. Chris Arps is here. He's here. Yeah, he's on the other mic now. He moved on you, Johnny. He moved on you.
I just need some familiarity when you come in with like 12 minutes left in the show.
There you go. Hey, listen, I know your mouth is hurting a little bit there, so I'm going to read the story
Thank
here.
you.
You can chime in as much as you want to. But,
I'll vote as best I can, Tony.
yeah, this one is pretty amazing. I mentioned this earlier, but I want to get into it here. Just in case you needed a reminder about what a piece of trash Hunter Biden is, he's back in the headlines this week. Accused of ghosting his daughter with London Roberts and violating his child support agreement. So Hunter Biden's ex has reopened a 2019 paternity suit in Arkansas, alleging that the former first son hasn't followed through on his child support obligations and claiming he ghosted their daughter, Navy Joan Roberts. Lawyers for London Roberts wrote in a new motion filed last week in getting his child support payments reduced. Biden had agreed to give their daughter a specified number of paintings he had created and that she had selected, according to court documents. It's not even money. It's his crappy paintings.
Well, remember when his dad was president, those paintings were selling for $200,000 or $300,000. I wonder what they're worth now.
London said the agreement was made because the paintings, as you just pointed out, Chris, might carry monetary value due to his fame, and she considered it a way for him to bond with his daughter over their shared love of art. The arrangement brought her family, quote, joy because her daughter had, quote, desperately longed for, talked about, and dreamed of a relationship with her father, unquote, the motion claimed. His daughter had even allegedly said, quote, I cannot wait to get to heaven so I can be with my dad because her dad does not see or talk to her because her dad, quote, lives far away and is really busy. This man is the biggest piece of crap on earth.
Do you think he'll one day just tell her, look, you were conceived during one of my cocaine, heroin, alcohol binges?
He's not going to have to tell her because one day she's going to just realize it. She's going to get old enough and just realize it. Biden and his daughter began to bond, the motion claimed, but he quickly ghosted her after Roberts wrote a memoir in 2024 about her relationship with him, but she didn't disparage him in it. She now believes his sentiment was for the purpose of getting his child support payments lowered. Quote, Miss Roberts has reached out to Mr. Biden numerous times about their daughter, asking to speak with him, but the defendant, in classic classless form, refuses to respond, unquote, the documents say. And while Biden has given her some paintings, the motion claims that his daughter hasn't been able to pick out any herself, which was part of the child support agreement. The motion urged the courts to force Biden to communicate with his child and to jail him, quote, as a civil penalty until he purges his contempt by complying with the court orders. Chris, imagine being such a deadbeat piece of garbage that you can't. Your child support obligation is to let your daughter pick out a couple of your crappy paintings, and you can't even uphold that end of your bargain.
I'm not defending Hunter Biden, of course, but, Hunter's had a lot of legal bills over the last few years, Tim. He's kind of strapped for cash. The board the board situation, the board appointments and all
Paint
of the
some more paintings.
those board appointments have kind of dried up.
He's got an infinite money hack. He's just got to paint some more paintings.
For some reason, they've lost their value. Now his father's not president.
Can you
they've lost their value.
imagine that? That you can't even uphold your child support obligation of letting your daughter, who allegedly, from all the report, I left a lot out for the sake of time. There's a lot of quotes from the daughter in here about how much she loves her father, and she understands that he's so important and busy, and that's why he can't be in her life. One day she'll be old enough to realize what a POS he is, and won't be able, will know that he's not busy or important.
Maybe one day she'll see all those pictures of him with prostitutes and with the crack syringe and the crack pipe next to him, passed out. Maybe she'll see those one day.
Even uphold his freaking obligation of letting her pick out a couple of his crappy, worthless paintings.
Oh, that's Hunter Biden. Are you really shocked, Mr. Colombo?
No, I am not. But I think it is an important reminder of just what a piece of trash Hunter Biden and the Biden family is in general.
You know what? The Biden family kind of owes Hunter. He's the one that took care of everybody and was giving part of his salary from all these illicit business deals to the rest of the family. Remember? Joe Biden, when he left the White House, pardoned the entire family.
Yeah, right.
Not just Hunter, the entire family.
He may have helped. He may have supported the family with the money that was coming in from those jobs he got, but he wouldn't have gotten those jobs without.
Hey, you better take care of the big guy.
Take care of the big guy. Take care of the big guy.
Yeah, I think maybe on the other end of that is that Joe Biden is the reason that Hunter has anything.
The Biden family is strapped for cash. Tony, we've done stories.
They should be strapped for freedom.
Exactly. We've done stories here where Joe Biden is having a very difficult time trying to raise money for his library. No one wants to donate to it. And it's getting to the point now where they're just going to have his library connected to this institute at the University of Vermont. They're not going to build like a library like they do with other presidents because nobody's donating.
You know what? He was a pathetic president, so to have a pathetic library is just about par for the course. That's about perfect. That's going to wrap up the Tim Jones.
Wow, boy, I worked hard today.
Yeah.
Woo, big show.
Kristen will be back tomorrow for the entire show, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
And, of course, I'll be back tomorrow at 2 for Colombo and company. In the meantime, keep it here for Larry Connors, USA, coming your way next here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Listen anytime.
It happens
Anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news.
With the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here. When your car needs attention, trust who I trust. Benchmark Complete Auto in Valley Park. 25 years as a family-owned and operated company, Benchmark is your Napa Auto Care Center for nearly every maintenance and repair. Using the latest technology and top quality